All right, this is Tony with All Things Music. This is part 2 of my mix template video. The first one went a little bit longer than I was hoping for, so I will try to keep track of the time here. So this next section is strings. I don't really do a lot of stuff with strings, but here we go. I'll go into it a little bit. NLS channel and the Lindell 80 console strip we've talked about. Oops, that should be active. Make this active as well. So the Pultec, it emulates a Pultec EQ, so that might be on there. So that's there just because it's there. I think it makes sense for strings, but there's no really right or wrong answer as long as it works. Millennia products, I absolutely love Millennia. I've worked with the actual hardware units, a number of Millennia hardware units. So the NS EQ2 I definitely have worked with. I seem to like it for things like acoustic guitar and violins, so acoustic string instruments. So it's here. Another Brainworks product that's distributed by Plug-in Alliance. I just seem to like it on string instruments. So this is just here just to say that I have it. Again, if I need to, it says here not doubler but triple. Way I was taught, if let's say I have one violin, that's great, but two violin tracks, that could cause a problem. So I was told only always one, three or more. Don't ask me why that is, but that's what I was taught many years ago. So if I have a solo violin and I want to thicken it up, I would use the H3000 plugin by Eventide, which is based on their actual hardware unit. We've already talked about Baby Audio tape and soft tube tape. We haven't talked about the Millennia twin topology compressor, so I'm going to make this active. So, and again, I've worked with Millennia products, the actual hardware units, for a variety of different Millennia products. So this is good. This is a good compressor. I've used it. Again, I tend to like Millennia products on acoustic instruments, like particularly acoustic guitar or violin, or violins, stringed instruments, so to speak. So it's on there. I don't really foresee myself using this a lot. It's just there because it's there. In case I get strings. Maybe I get synth strings, and I can put that on there and it just makes sense. Yeah. So, but otherwise, I don't really have a lot of use for this section. Everything should be a bypass. Yep. Okay. The next section is going to be piano. Again, we've seen everything already. Again, we've seen this NS EQ2 by Millennia. So this is for actual piano. So these three right here. Now, where it gets interesting is this. This is generic keys. So anything that has a keyboard on it could be an electric piano, I don't know. But we do have this whole synth section here. And again, the same old, the same configuration, either the Lindell 80 channel strip or the SSL E channel or the SSL G channel emulation is put out by Waves. So for their channel strips, but I will probably update to the Waves SSL EV2 at some point. I'm just pretty happy with what I have. I'm almost at a point where I just don't want to buy another plugin. I've worked with so many, and I'll just give you an example. Like, I wish I would list all of these out. These are like my go-tos, by the way, right? Oh, I forgot to mention this. The AE400 I might also use on vocals. I just ran out of space in the template. It's actually a good multi-band compressor. It's put out by MicDSP. I think it's the only MicDSP product that I own. It's actually good though, in that respect. But these are some of my go-tos, as you can see here. But let's take a look at, and the Split EQ also, which is great. It's good for de-essing on vocals. So the Split EQ, actually, I'm going to make quick mention of the Sonox Split EQ. I'm sorry, Eventide. Why did I say Sonox? Eventide, sorry. With this plugin, you can EQ the transient, and then you can EQ what they call tonal, but it's really the body of the sound envelope. So the transient, the initial attack, and then the rest of it, what follows the initial attack. You can EQ the tonal, so it's actually very effective as a de-esser. So, and again, I ran out of space on my for inserts on the vocal track, so that's why it's not on there. So, but I've got more plugins I know what to do with. If I just go here to EQ, look at all this. So I don't use all of these. Dynamics, look at all of these plugins. The stuff that's highlighted are plugins I tend to use the most. So, and what I discovered is it's good to get really good with a few very good plugins than it is to buy like everything. Find some really, really good quality plugins. Be willing to pay extra money for it and learn them and know them like the back of your hand. So, again, if I look at this list of plugins, I've got more than I know what to do with. More reverbs I know what to do with. More delays. Actually, I could probably use an extra delay or two. But I'm pretty happy with things like Echo Boy and Repeater and so on. So, again, more plugins that I know what to do with. So these actually I do use these noise reduction plugins, particularly on vocals, believe it or not. Sometimes lip smacking, I might use some of the Way stuff, which works pretty well in a pinch. So instrument plugins, effects plugins, again, more than I know what to do with. So anyhow, for parallel processing for our keys here, we've talked about all these plugins beforehand. There's nothing new. So parallel processing, parallel compression, or doubling, there you go. I might use H3000 or Real ADT. MicroPitch should probably go in there. So I'm going to add MicroPitch. But I don't do a lot of work with keyboards or piano, so. Yeah, yes, mixes at 100%. Bypass, make inactive. Bass. Let's take a look at the bass. Oh, this is interesting. Oh no, it's there. I thought I left out a plugin that I usually use. If I have bass DI, I will use THU Slate. So THU Overloud has a deal with Slate Digital, although you can buy it separately. But if you're on the all-access plan with Slate, this comes included with it. I really like the way this particular amp sim sounds, so if I have a DI, I will have it go through that. NLS channel, VMR, of course, CLA 76. So interestingly enough, if you've noticed, I will have EQ first. With bass, it's a little bit different. With bass, I will have compression first. Why? Let's look at our friend, the Fletcher-Munson curve. Low frequencies, which are on this end, so here's your frequency range, right? From low to high. And to be heard, the bass has to be pretty loud. It may not sound loud to you, right? But it is, even though it doesn't sound loud. For the mid-range to be heard, it doesn't have to be all that loud. And then treble, kind of somewhere between bass and the mid-range. So this is going to hit your compressor first. So you got your threshold setting on your compressor, and this is going to force some of that signal downwards. So that's why I'll have it compressed first. So now instead of it being all over the place, it'll now be more kind of consistent. And then at that point, I will EQ it. So I will do compression first, and then I'll EQ. So let me just go here for a second. I'm going to just stop annotating the screen, and I'm going to go back to highlighting the cursor. So I'm going to bypass this and then make it inactive. So something interesting. So here is an instance where I will use the Kramer HLS. So again, I will compress first and then EQ. My default, well, I should have it as my default here. If I boost, there we go. If I boost 60 decibels, I'm sorry, if I boost 60 hertz at 1 decibel, or 1 decibel at 60 hertz, it adds a bit of a punch to it. So it makes it a little bit more, I don't want to say gives it more of a thump, but it adds just a little bit more punch. So I'll do that on the bass. So it's very common that I use that. And then I should actually duplicate that setting. Otherwise, same old Lindell 80 or the SSL channel emulations by Waves, SSL 4000 series console strip channel emulations by Waves. The max bass I'm not using as much. I might sometimes put, you're trying to really emphasize the harmonics on the higher end. It uses the theory of the missing fundamental, so to speak, but not always. Now let's look at the plugins I might use in parallel. We talked about the decapitator, but I'll show it again here. CLA bass, I haven't used it very much. I may have used it on one mix or two in the last year in parallel. The decapitator we've talked about before. This is a really good plugin by Soundtoys, very popular on a number of applications. So this is where it gets interesting. I feel like I might get some flack from seasoned engineers. I might process in parallel. So this is a SansAmp emulation plugin, and I can add some distortion, some drive to it, whatever. So I might do that in parallel, but there's times I will put it directly on the bass track itself. And so I might do that directly on the bass track. So let's say I'm going to put it here, right? And then I'll still have something like, say, soft tube tape. So I might have that here, and then the PS1 here. Granted, I will have the PS1 though after compression, because, and you're probably gonna ask, why would you put it after compression? Because it's going to increase the overtone series from the fundamental or the upper end harmonics, and then I won't have to EQ as much. It depends. So I'm going to annotate the screen again here. So at bass, as it requires a lot of energy to be heard, what I might do is, I'm going to use another color here, blue, right? I might boost the EQ on the higher end so that the bass has more definition to it. However, this is going to add some of the higher end harmonics. So you're going to see, I'm doing that backwards. It should be like that actually. It's descending in volume. So, but anyhow. Whoops. Let me stop annotating the screen. So that's what's going on there. I'm going to put this back here where I found it. Move the max bass over. I'm going to just activate this just so you can take a look at it. This is another product by Waves. It's a good product. Again, I'm using it less and less. I just don't feel like I've had to use it as much. Here's the original, right? And then you can increase. I want to say it works by increasing the overtone series. It multiplies the fundamental, and then that makes it a little bit more audible. I should probably demonstrate it on a track that I'm working on. So, but I'm going to go back to the factory, reset. I'm going to bypass this and make it inactive because this is on my template. And I'll see you for part 3 of this video.